Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Forgive me, please. Y'all will not believe why we are 34 minutes late tonight. Um, and yes, I was playing with my setup a little bit. I was. However, full transparency here. The reason we are 34 minutes late tonight is because I fell asleep. I'm sorry. That's just what happened. That is what happened. My son went to bed at, I don't know, 8:45, a little later than usual. They on spring break. Kind of threw me off a little bit. So then I go, I finally get some time to relax and say, take a deep breath. Because you running and ripping and running all day long with them. And then I'm sitting there. Next thing you know, it's 10:30. So here we are. But I'm here. I woke up. I think that I woke up, the clock said like 10:25 or something like that. I shot up. I was like, oh, snap. So yeah, I do apologize. But I shot up and made something happen. We here. We made it work. Got the setup, switched everything around really quick. So hopefully you guys aren't too mad at me. But I do appreciate y'all for waiting an extra 30 minutes for sure. I really do. Yes, welcome in. I appreciate y'all for saying that y'all have been there before. It's rough. It is very rough. But I jumped up, I shut up. Y'all know when y'all take that middle of the day nap, or maybe you accidentally fell asleep at night type of nap, and you shoot up at like midnight, 1:00. You like, bro, what just happened? It was one of those. I was definitely sleeping amazing. It felt great. But I'm also glad to chop it up with y'all tonight. So if you are new to the channel, please, everybody hit the like button. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the sub button. We are on the road to 20K. I do appreciate all the support along the way. I am your amazing host for tonight. And we got a lot to talk about. In general, not anything. I didn't get to watch Baron yet tonight, clearly. So I'm not sure if there's anything new with the Charlie Kirk investigation besides, the case blowing wide open with Baron revealing that Tyler Robinson more than likely was in custody while the manhunt was still going. So that definitely blew everything wide open. Will TPUSA respond? My guess, probably not. I think that they have a history of not responding to things that actually matter. And then responding to stuff that just stupid. Like I think somebody responded to today to, the plumber showing, allegedly Miss Shalami's new house that's being built. Don't know if it's true or not. I don't really care about stuff like that, but I think somebody from TBUSA responded to that saying like, it's not her house. Don't know if it is or isn't, but just the point is they typically respond to stupid stuff like that versus, hey, the guy that allegedly popped y'all's great friend, boss, whatever you want to call it, could have been in jail already. Like, you know what I mean? The story just doesn't make any sense. And that's when they just go radio silent. So, I mean, but I think their silence is very loud. And I think that's all we need to know. But at the same time, I'm selfish. Respond. Say something. Because this is very huge information. I don't care about Erica's shopping spree. I'm sorry. It's important, but if you're going to reply to something that matters. So we're going to, talk quite a bit on Turning Point today in general, as far as how bad money changed Charlie's life, the cost of bad money, as you can see in the title. Yes, welcome in. Thank you for joining. I appreciate y'all for waiting. hopefully I won't let anybody down tonight while also being late. So I do apologize. Now the first thing that I want to hit on tonight, I'm sorry, usually I have everything gathered and prepared, which it is, but usually I have everything in a list ready to go. I ran upstairs and hit live before I got my list prepared. As far as getting it in front of me. So the things that we're gonna go through tonight is Trump. He said a lot of crazy things over the last couple of hours, and one of them involved Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, and a few others. And he said a few things in that statement that was just interesting. And I would love to hear y'all thoughts about it as well, as I will share mine. And then we will also talk about we'll hit on that just for a little bit, and then for the most of the show, it will be about the cost of bad money and how that has took a turn for the worse for Charlie Kirk. Now, Trump decided to bring to the internet his feelings on Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, and Megyn Kelly. And what has been very disappointing about Trump 2.0, Trump's second election, second term, I'm sorry. What's been interesting about Trump in his second term is that everybody is noticing that he is totally different. Everybody. People try to gaslight everybody, gaslight us, that Trump is the same, he hasn't changed. But I think what's telling is that even his former supporters are saying it's totally different. And so with this time around, I found it interesting that the very people that helped Trump get into office, and we saw Tucker Carlson's but his support for Trump and what he did, because his content was heavily surrounded by getting Trump into office. We saw that with Charlie Kirk. We saw that with Candace Owens. And they was in it, bro. They was in the field fighting for their life, trying to get Trump in the office. Candace has a full series on Kamala Harris. And I thought it was, don't vote for Kamala, but it pretty much was don't vote for Kamala because she doesn't make any sense. Her life is a lie, X, Y, and Z. In a way, it was promoting Trump. Trump got into office. Charlie Kirk was praised like he was praised in the first term. Candace, Tucker, all of these people. But since his term since he was elected and since he got into office, a lot has changed. And the second that his supporters, such as Candace Owens, even Charlie Kirk, and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly started to realize that change, they started calling him out on that change, everything took a turn. Because instead of using that as these people are my supporters, and yes, they're being critical of me, but that's because they want the best out of me, because they were the ones that probably put in a lot of nights trying to get me into office. So I'm going to listen to what they have to say. Same as Charlie Kirk. He should have listened to what Charlie had to say about the Iran war, but he didn't. He had other people influencing him, Trump. So instead of listening to him, instead he criticized Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones. He called them crazy. He kicked them out of the MAGA cult. Sorry if anybody else is MAGA, not to offend you, but that's what it's seeming like right now. That's what it seems like, is that MAGA is now a cult instead of a movement. He kicked them out of the MAGA cult, and now it's if you don't like anything Trump does 100%, you are no longer a part of MAGA. You saw that with Joe Kent. Joe Kent was a heavy supporter of Trump. He still is. But the second he disagreed with the way this war is being handled, Trump kind of disowned him in a way, disrespects him, talks bad about him. And so we're going to bring up what Donald Trump said about Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, and it was very sick. It was very sick to watch. I mean, my fault. It was very sick to read due to the full context of Donald Trump releasing crazy stuff since Easter Sunday. And this did not help his case at all. So let me pull up this, and it is quite lengthy, but we're all here together. So we got to make sure we read everything in full context, because I don't want to put any words in Trump's mouth. So I believe this should be good to see, but I will be looking over here to see it a little bit better. Trump tweets, or whatever you want to call it, on Truth Social. He says, "I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon, because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it, their families know it, and everyone else knows it too." Let's pause for a quick second. The President of the United States, when he talks like this about people that used to support him, former supporters, and still believe that he can get it done, he condones people like your Laura Loomers. That's why Laura Loomer feels so comfortable disrespecting Candace Owens as well. She feels so open about it. Everybody feels so free to go online and call Candace Owens demonic and call Tucker Carlson names. Trump is the head of the snake. He's the one that leads that train. He's the one that condones it all. So when you have the President of the United States going on Truth Social, calling his own American citizens stupid, low IQ people, that's very insulting. The President of the United States. Again, you can disagree with it, whatever that's going on. At the end of the day, these are your citizens. And he says low IQ. He calls them low IQ, and they're stupid people. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because nobody cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. They're thrown off air because they don't fit the popular category on the mainstream. Not because they're unliked, because majority doesn't want to hear the truth on things. Our mainstream media has been compromised. So when they keep it real, they're not allowed to talk about certain things anymore. And we all know that. And Trump knows that. It's not popular. You don't fall in the popular category if you're critical of the blue and white country. I think YouTube has been okay with me saying that. So hopefully we can keep it normal over here. You can't be critical of Israel and be on mainstream media. It doesn't work that way. Let's please take the prime example of Charlie Kirk. Yes, Charlie Kirk was on national TV every now and then with Fox Hits and stuff like that. But majority of his critical analysis of everything that's going on was on his platform. He never spoke his frustration that we'll see tonight on mainstream media platforms. Now they think they get some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts, but nobody's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA. Or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN an 100% approval rating of Trump, not hand flailing fools like Tucker Carlson who couldn't even finish college. Again, disrespectful jabs attempts. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox. He's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist, or Megan Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question, or this is by far one of the craziest parts I read, or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not. How can you prove that she's not? Or you just assuming she's not? How do you know, Trump? How do you know she's not a man? Who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is far more beautiful. The First Lady of France, I ain't got my glasses on, so I'm struggling right now, if you can't tell. The Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. He wrote so much in this tiny little screen I'm reading. The First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace Owens. Really. I just want to bring up a picture of the First Lady real quick. Just really, really fast. Cause we not finna do that. 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 Can I zoom in on this lady? Come on, bro. Come on, man. I come on. Come on. I don't even want to dive too deep into all of that. But you can clearly catch my drift. Okay. This person, this man, woman, whatever you want to call it, she, he, this does not look better than Candace Owens. Can we be for real here? So taking a jab at Candace, talking about she clearly is more beautiful than Candace Owens. Not even close. So tell me how you really feel about Candace Owens then, Donald Trump. Tell me how you really feel. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. You calling Candace ugly. But you calling, because if that's the bar, come on, man. That one hurt. That one hurt. Because he ain't even had to throw that in there. He didn't have to. You ain't even gotta call Candace beautiful. You ain't gotta call Candace beautiful. You ain't even gotta compliment Candace. But him throwing this in there allowed us to have this picture in our heads of the comparison. He did that. He made me immediately pull up a picture of Brigitte Macron and was like, what? Oh, her? There's no way. There's no way. So Trump bringing that up was very weird to me. Far more beautiful woman than Candace. And in fact, it's not even close. Okay. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says some of the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, as he should have, for his horrendous attack on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims. Blah, blah. I don't want to give this too much attention for so long. I really don't. But y'all get the point. Very disappointed on the president of the United States attacking his own citizens, people that used to support him. Again, that is the worst part. These people used to support Trump. They stopped supporting him because he changed. That 100% of MAGA back in Trump is cap. That's because he kicked out everybody, this invisible MAGA that has, I don't know, he selects who's in it and who's not, apparently. He kicks out everybody. Anybody that disagrees with Trump on anything, you're not in MAGA. So therefore, the only people in MAGA are yes men and yes women. Whatever Trump, your Laura Loomers, your Graham Allens, those are your yes men and women. So yes, 100% of MAGA is going to agree with Trump and going to back Trump because they are only yes men. Anybody critical of Trump on anything is no longer in MAGA. So it was disappointing to see that. It really was. And the first thing I thought of was Charlie Kirk would have been on this list if he was still alive today. He would have been on that list. And now lead into our next topic. Charlie Kirk would have been on that list if he was still alive today, because we know and we saw his perspective and views and his position on a lot of things were changing. Not that he was finna change to a full Democrat, but he was starting to realize that the things that he fought for, the things that he spoke up for, the whole point on his purpose of Turning Point USA was being hijacked, and it started to not align with the Republican Party and Donald Trump in particular. And he would have been on that list if he was alive today. Because with this war that's going on right now, he would have been very public about it. He would have criticized publicly. He would have been very vocal. Joe Kent said it himself. Charlie Kirk was one of Trump's most vocal advisors. But there's also people in Trump's ear that incited this entire war. So Charlie was over here by himself screaming from the mountaintop saying, don't do it. But Trump clearly had on the other shoulder, the devil's side, a whole group of people that continue to say, do it, do it, do it. We need to do this for that, this, that, and the third. And so once this all went down, Charlie Kirk would have been the voice of the people, and he would have used his platform to criticize Trump and the administration for what they were doing, because he already was doing it before. He already was telling everybody this would be the worst decision ever. And he doesn't agree with what's taking place, the thoughts and the talks that they were having behind the scenes of potentially going to war. So Charlie Kirk would have been on the list, but the problem is, this is the reason, all my opinion here, the reason they had to kill him, so I'm not pointing at anybody for YouTube to take this video down. The reason they had to kill him is because if Trump criticized Charlie Kirk in the same way he criticized Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Candace Owens, and Alex Jones, that would have been the end of Trump forever. Because one thing we all know for sure is that nobody in this country would say that Charlie Kirk didn't love Trump and he wasn't a Trumpy. Everybody knew Charlie Kirk was in Trump's shadow. Everybody knew whatever Trump was doing was in Charlie Kirk's best interest. Well, at first, they always aligned. They always was, ever since Trump won the first election, Charlie kind of followed Trump blindly on certain things. So if Trump turned around and started disrespecting Charlie in this same way and was like, Charlie's an idiot, the whole world would have turned on Trump, because they would have said, no. You serious right now? You gave Charlie all the credit in your first election. Don't know why. Barron has an episode about that as well. Charlie got this crazy amount of credit for Trump winning the first election, which I agree. I think it was planned. All Charlie did was brag about how many hats did we see Charlie throw out with 47 on it. the entire MAGA movement, the entire world would have disagreed with Trump if Trump had started criticizing Charlie in this way. If he started disrespecting the whole world would not believe Trump, and he would have lost everybody. He would have lost everybody because everybody would know, bro, you tripping on Charlie now. If Charlie is saying this, Charlie loves you, bro. Charlie hangs out with your son all the time. So there's no way Charlie's just a crazy man. You got people like Joe Kent saying, bro, I heard what Charlie said about this Iran war. He was right. So imagine if he was still alive to this day, going around saying I was right. How that would affect Trump. It would affect Trump in a negative way, that his most vocal advisor told him not to, but he chose to listen to some other people, some foreign influence. That would hurt him. Charlie would have turned, and not necessarily turned his back on Trump, but would have been critical. He would have criticized that it was a terrible decision, that he said exactly what would happen. And Trump would have to face that this guy that has a major influence on the people in general is now going around. Again, he's very professional. He would not have disrespected Trump, but he would have said, yeah, this is ridiculous. And may have ended up similar to like a Joe Kent situation. That's the only person I can compare it to out of all the ones he named on this list. I would say Charlie Kirk would probably be like Joe Kent, because Joe Kent never disrespected Trump. He's never said, he's never had like monologues like Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens where they clearly disagree with Trump. Joe Kent has always been respectful. Charlie Kirk would have been as close to that. He would have told the line, but still said, Trump, you're wrong. So they had to kill him. That way, they can benefit off of Charlie Kirk not being there, using Erica Kirk as a shield, and in saying basically that Charlie Kirk would have agreed with everything that's going on because he's not here. So they still get the benefit off of the Charlie Kirk presence with his wife being there, without Charlie Kirk actually there criticizing Trump. So they had to kill him. It's the only way. And I think the more this war plays out, the more we start to see Trump turning on people that formerly supported him, it becomes more obvious that Charlie Kirk was going to be on this list. It's a reason he didn't want to cancel Tucker Carlson. They begged him to. That's what we're about to get into, the cost of bad money. They begged him to cancel Tucker Carlson. They begged him to part ways from Candace, which they got to him and it worked. They begged him to do that. But in the end, we saw the text messages. In the end, we saw him say, I am not going to deplatform Tucker Carlson. I'm going to continue to bring him on. I love Tucker Carlson. In the end, we saw the text messages that said, I'm going to bring back Candace. And they say, no, don't do it. He was switching sides. And again, not completely to the Democrat side and all that, just more so like, Trump, what are you doing, bro? I'm starting to see what's going on with how you moving. And I can no longer 100% back you because I disagree with how you moving right now. I can't follow you with blind faith anymore, even though Charlie may have claimed that he was not supporting Trump in blind faith, because I've seen some debates where where people asked him that and he was like, no, I have an independent mind and all that stuff. Charlie was very, very, very pro-Trump. He's a Trumpy. And I think this would have been the turning point. As soon as this Iran war started, this would have been the turning point where he realized, dang, man, you are not the same. So they had to kill him. But this is the part where the money, man, all money ain't good money. And this was the downfall for Charlie Kirk. And I really just want us to have a brutally honest conversation, and learning lessons about how, money can lead you in crazy places. It can put you in crazy positions, depending on if you're desperate for it, depending on if you don't really pay attention to who it's coming from. But nothing in this world is free. Nothing in this world is free. And money ain't free. Even if somebody say, hey, bro, I'll give you money. Here, take it. It comes with something. It comes with something. And I'm not talking about to the extent of somebody just handing you a $50 bill in Target. Yeah, you might say, why are you doing this? But you're going to be skeptical. You say, why are you doing this? Well, what are you giving me money for? You're going to ask questions. It's natural. And we're talking about $50 here. If anybody came to you on the side of the road and said, here you go, and offered it to you, you will be a little skeptical. You might take it in the end, but you're going to be like, what is this for? Is there something you want me to do? It's human nature. Life is transactional. This is how it is. We automatically result to, do you want something from me? Because you're paying, like, what are you paying me for? And it's just a question. And again, it may be a situation where somebody's just blessing you and say, here you go, bro. It happens. I'm sure we've all done it, to giving money to the homeless and stuff like that. But you got to think about it, when it comes in large amounts, like what Charlie Kirk was getting, that money is not free. That money comes with different strings. When you have a 501c3, when you have a charity, and you're getting hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and you think you can just do whatever you want, it doesn't work like that. They're giving you that money for a reason. Yes. Could they believe in you? Yes. They could absolutely believe in you. They can say, I feel like this person is going to be big one day, out of genuine support. But then you have to also think about, okay, so if I'm Jewish, or I'm a Zionist, as they like to call it nowadays, and I've given Charlie Kirk $1 million a year, and he has somebody on his platform that is questioning, my faith, my movement, and Charlie Kirk is allowing it to happen, we have a huge issue. We have a huge conflict of interest. Buddy, I pay you $1 million a year. So what you think this is? When you have Tucker Carlson going up there and being critical of Israel, being critical of in order to be, he's very critical of Zionists, because Zionists typically put Israel first. So when you have people like Tucker Carlson go up there and say you aren't really pro-American, or you're not really pro-American because you're putting Israel first. When he's critical of that topic, that very sensitive topic, then you're gonna have some very upset donors, because they're like, "What are you doing, bro? You're gonna speak up. Why are you having Tucker Carlson get on this platform and say all of these different things? I pay you $1 million. I need you to defend me." Everything comes in the form of kind of like a service. Charlie Kirk was performing services. He didn't even know it. He was performing a service. He had a job. They pay you to push a message. And we're about to see some great examples of Charlie Kirk. Let me see what I have in my lineup, so that way we can make sure the timeline is great. We're going to see Charlie on payroll, if I want to say that, if that makes sense. We're going to see Charlie's perspectives when he was on the payroll, on the side of, like, he just wants to make sure his donors are happy and doesn't want to upset anybody. And yes, he could have had genuine, you know, he could have genuinely felt this way about these different topics that we're going to go through. We're going to talk about October 7th with Israel going in Palestine. And there's a couple more different things. So he could have genuinely felt this way, but it's interesting hearing this perspective of Charlie Kirk, because we're about to watch his perspective change in live time, and he starts to question things. But then when you start to question things, that's when he starts to realize his donors are now pressuring him and now starting to upset him because they're calling him different names. So we're seeing Charlie leading, like progressing into eventually like a Tucker Carlson making Kelly Candace Owens, where yes, at one point I was all pro-Israel and I was supporting and I was defending and all this other stuff. And then a couple months later, Charlie has a lot of questions and he wasn't attacking anybody. He just has a lot of questions. And that is when he steps out of line, sir, because they pay you hundreds of millions of dollars for you to stick to the script. They don't pay you to come out and ask some tough questions. They don't want those questions to be brought up to the public. So I think one of the first videos that I wanted to play was Charlie Kirk defending Israel October 7th and what happened on October 7th. So let me play a couple of different videos for a little bit of context before we chop it up even more about this topic.
This anti-Israel student claimed Israel let October 7th happen, and Charlie Kirk snapped back instantly.
So you think that Mossad, which are Jews, wanted 1,300 Jews to die?
They didn't know that 1,300 people would die, but they wanted to see something so that they can be able to actually attack Palestine.
Got it. So we're just not going to agree because you have a much lower view of Jewish people than I do.
No, I believe in Israel's right to exist too.
No, I know, but what you're saying is that the Jewish leadership of Mossad wanted the Hamas to attack.
Yes, because what I'm trying to tell you is that they had homemade drones. Okay, so how are they not able to see all of that happening? Is all I'm trying to say.
First of all, part of it is a legitimate question, but getting to as far as saying that must be the case, it's a big leap. It was a holy day,
sure,
right, which is very important. It was Shabbat, sure, which is 90% of IDF troops.
So you can hear already that Charlie Kirk is defending, Israel in this position. He's trying to tell this student, relax, buddy. Don't say that Israel purposefully allowed, Hamas to come in there and terrorize the place and stuff like that. Do not say the Jews were behind that. Don't bring up that. That's a conspiracy, young fella. Don't talk about it. He also brings it up to this young girl here as well. Let's play another example really quick. But we're starting to see again. This is pre-independent thinking Charlie Kirk, because as he was somebody that promoted independent thinking. I feel like when it came to these topics, again, this is what the donors wanted. This is what he was conditioned to say to protect his donors. He's getting paid by these people. So again, I'm gonna play devil's advocate though, and say he could have genuinely felt this way, and maybe he needed to learn a little bit more before he changed his positioning, before he changed his perspective on what actually happened, because we're going to get to him starting to question what happened. We're going to play one more video on him defending Israel and kind of telling students to relax.
This anti-Israel student.
Let me see. One more video. Hold, please.
They let Hamas. They let them in on purpose, yes.
If Israel laid down all of its weapons, what would happen?
They are committing a genocide and wait.
How dare you say, no, I got to put, what is a genocide?
A genocide is when you are taking over a land and people senselessly just.
Was October 7th a genocide?
Okay.
Answer the question. When 1,300 Jews were killed in their homes, kibbutzes, and a music festival, was that a genocide?
No, because no.
By your own definition, it is.
It was a terrorist act. But it was a terrorist act, but this was all planned by the governments. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
No. You got to tell me, why was October 7th not a genocide, but what Israel is doing is a genocide?
Israel has the Iron Dome. Why? They could have easily protected the festival. They could have easily protected their people, but they let this Hamas, this little...
They let them in.
They let them in on purpose, yes.
Really?
Yes.
So you think the Israeli government allowed Hamas terrorists to come and 1,300 innocent civilians, take hostages, and go into kibbutzes?
They needed an excuse to do that to the Palestinians.
What is your evidence of this claim?
Why are they claim to want Hamas. They claim to want...
No, what is your evidence that Israel would butcher 1,300 of its own?
So do y'all see where we're getting at, right? You gotta see how defensive Charlie is getting when it comes to this conversation. Now watch how this turns. Watch how this changes. Because Charlie Kirk is no longer oblivious to what's going on. He's starting to question things. But Charlie, I thought you were, defending Israel. I thought these people were crazy. He was getting very defensive, if we're being honest. But then a couple months later, here's Charlie on the same topic.
And if we go dark, I put all those things out there.
Yeah.
How did these guys not know this was taking place?
So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that's an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it.
Charlie, these were the same questions that students brought up to you. But Charlie was heavily defending it, saying, don't you dare talk about the Jews in that way. Don't you dare talk about Israel in that way. They asked the same question. They said, Charlie, it was a stand down order put in place. They allowed these people to come in. Charlie refused to believe them. And again, there's two sides of me that I say. One, he's just doing whatever makes the donors happy, right? He wants to toe the line. It's a very tough conversation. That's why you can't, when you're getting paid millions, hundreds of millions from pro-Israel and Zionist donors, this is not a conversation you can have. And we're going to get to an interesting conversation between him and Megyn Kelly, where Megyn Kelly talks about how she's not paid by Zionists or pro-Israel people at all, so she can say what she wants. And then I'm looking at Charlie Kirk in the same interview, and I'm looking at his face, and I'm like, yeah, he cannot say the same thing. You could be mad all you want to that people texting your phone left and right, calling you anti-Semite. They shouldn't, but you're the one that take all their money. So this is the situation that you've put yourself in ultimately. And again, hopefully you guys know that this is all a conversation out of good faith. By no means am I bashing Charlie to make it seem like he's this terrible person for taking the money and all of that stuff. I'm just trying to portray and lay it out for everybody to show the bigger picture that all money ain't good money and the cost of bad money, because this eventually is what ended up taking his life.
Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say, stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is.
Yeah.
And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools, and by reports, 6 hours. Let's say it's 3 hours.
That's suspect. Go ahead, Rob.
It's also not like a right-wing reporting. This is from the New York Times. The long
Thank
wait
you.
for help as massacre
this.
unfolds in Israel.
9
I can't think of
hours.
a more liberal news outlet than the New York Times.
And by the way, I'm actually very pro-Israel. So let me be very, so I'm not exactly.
I think we all are.
No, I just want to make sure my position is clear here. But
It's a reason why he has to reiterate and reassure that, hey, I'm pro-Israel. Don't forget. He has to say that for a reason. He's stepping out of line here. He's asking questions, right? But he didn't realize, hey, yes, his platform is built on asking questions, but don't ask questions about them. Don't ask questions about anything that has to do with your donors and who they're affiliated with. You can't ask questions about them. Ask questions about anybody else, though. Once you step out of line, now you're affecting their pockets. Now they're looking at you like, buddy, we give you hundreds of millions of dollars. What are you doing? You're supposed to be promoting what I like. You think you can go out here and just have your free speech and say whatever you want off my millions of dollars? It don't work that way. So then I want to play one more video of Charlie Kirk before he started to shift his views. This is when Charlie Kirk started to shift his views, and you see he's starting to his wheels are starting to spin a little bit. And now he's having the same questions that his students were trying to wake him up to, and he didn't believe them. Or he was just refusing and making sure that he kept his donors happy, whichever one, we don't know. But this is another video, and I think I seen somebody in the comments bring it up. And I believe this is the same video. So you'll be happy to see this because I already had to pull it up.
If your portfolio's over,
But this is another guy that we won't be able to watch all of it, but I would encourage everybody to, because it is a great video. So I want to show it, the title of it first. That way y'all can go watch it. Charlie Kirk debates a veteran on the Holocaust, 9/11, and the Jew world order. Please go watch that entire video. Because it is great. It's a great debate between Charlie Kirk and this young man. And we're about to see right here, again, Charlie's perspective and views he's trying to protect his donors in this conversation. This young man, he's going to bring up some great points. And Charlie's just going to shut it down. I'm going to try to pick and choose different points throughout this video because, again, we can't watch the whole thing. Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk YouTube channel, they might copyright me because they know this is not favorable content.
for $250,000 and you aren't hedged, you are sitting on a ticking time bomb. So, and
High values as a Christian and as a man is standing firm in what you believe in. In 2021, I enlisted into the military. As far as
thank
I
you
know,
for your service.
Thank you. As far as I know, I was the only trainee at Fort Benning, Georgia, to decline the COVID vaccine, even when everyone was trying to force me to take it. I was discharged for it. So I truly believe as a follower of Yah, we are called to stand firm in our beliefs. I think that what you're doing is amazing, trying to get people to wake up. But here's where I start to kind of question you. You're very for Israel, and I totally understand why from a surface sense, from a biblical sense. But as a Christian man who is about to have a little girl in October, here's my problem. In the Talmud, they talk about sexual intercourse with the little girl is permitted if she is under 3 years of age. You can rape a non-Jew woman and it is legal. And as a Christian, I mean, you look at our government, it's been infiltrated by the Jews. The founders of pornography are Jewish. The founders of transgender, the transgender movement and the LGBT community are Jewish. That's exactly what was going on in Germany. I'm not excusing what Hitler did, but there's more to it. And so as a Christian, what is your biblical perspective to supporting a group of people that are promoting satanic acts and are excusing satanic behavior?
There's a lot there. First, tell me what the Talmud is.
So the Talmud.
That was a great question. A great question. Charlie kind of dodges it a little bit here by talking about some other stuff, but I want to get to some of Charlie's responses.
Nephilim and Kvetchim. Okay. Then there's the Talmud. The Talmud is interpretation. The other specific
country in the 1940s,
that
Jews didn't
mean
exist at that time.
Never met a single Jew that believes that or understands it. I encourage you to find a rabbi and confront him with that.
They have
Talmudic
videos all
verse.
over the internet.
No, yeah, it's
not a
nothing.
secret.
Nothing false is ever on the internet, right? But I encourage you.
It's live interviews.
No, I encourage you to go to a rabbi and ask him that very specific question. But let me ask you, when it says very clearly, when Paul says that we should bless the keepers of the law, which is the Hebrews, do you believe that?
I do.
Okay, so we should.
Modern day Jews are not the original Hebrews.
So, but let me help me understand that. So, do you mean the Ashkenazi Jews, or do you mean the Sephardic Jews? Because there are two. Do you know the difference between an Ashkenazi and a Sephardic Jew?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so that's very important. So, what you're probably talking about is the Ashkenazi Jews. Ashkenazi Jews are.
Again, to me, this is Charlie Kirk trying to deflect a little bit from the guy's point, because he did make it kind of hard trying to follow him in here. I just want to get to some specific parts, so please bear with me. I'm sorry if I can't specifically find it or quickly find it, but I want to get to some parts where Charlie gets a little very, very defensive when it comes to this guy's theory that the Jews run the world.
Like going to, go to war in the Ashkenazi. So the Jews run our government, is
Correct.
what you say.
Correct.
And
Trump met with the Sanhedrin a few years ago, and they asked him to uphold the Noahide laws, which talk about killing Christians.
Well, so the
It's not a
Noahide
secret.
laws are actually, we live under the Noahic covenant. And
Hold on. Y'all are not Shalamis. I hope you didn't just say that. Shalamis are the bad guys. Okay. Shalamis are the bad guys. That is Miss Shalami, right? She is the one. She is the leader. And then her Shalami soldiers, your Graham Allens, your Brandon Tatums, your folks like that, your Laura Loomers, those are the Shalamis. Yeah. Y'all cannot be Shalamis. We are not Shalamis. So daily yappers, I like that. I kind of like that. I can get down with the daily yappers. My family of yappers in the chat. But Shalamis are not, we're not friends with the Shalamis.
nowhere does it say it should kill Christians. What are you talking about?
The Noahide laws are the upholding of the. So Trump works for the Jews.
Tell me what the Noahide laws are.
The Noahide laws is a group of laws.
You know that?
Okay.
So let me just make sure I understand. So Jesus Christ, who himself was, or what? That's where Christ himself
justifying
and the keepers of the law
of a child under 3 years old.
That's not the Talmud is not the law.
That is what they preach in Israel. They preach in their schools. They talk about it openly.
I encourage you to find me a singular instance of somebody in Israel talking about the legitimate of 3-year-olds. That doesn't exist.
Look at our government in Hollywood, who's run by Jews. This trafficking. The Jews run this trafficking. There itself, Charlie.
Hold on.
Donald Trump himself.
But it's easy to say they run the Jews. Oh, the Jews run everything. If the Jews run everything, why is there so much anti-Semitism?
Because anti-Semitism is a construct created by the New World Order agenda that is being pushed onto us.
You know, so Jews, it's kind of like global warming. And your theory is very similar to global warming. If it gets warmer, it's global warming. If it gets cooler, it's global warming. If there's anti-Semitism, it's the Jews. If there's no anti-Semitism, it's the Jews. At some point, you have to tell me, like, they basically control everything, whether it hurts them or it helps them. Is that correct?
Israel wants the New World Order. They're the synagogue of Satan. It says so in Revelation, Charlie.
You think
the synagogue
Israel
of Satan.
is the synagogue
the
of
synagogue
Satan?
of Satan.
Okay, actually, it doesn't say that.
In the Bible, it says that there will be a group of people who call themselves the chosen people of Yah, but they are the synagogue of Satan. Charlie, we live in the end times. Trump works for
I mean, I can't agree with that. So let me ask you, since you believe we live in the end times, what do you think? Do you think the modern creation of Israel is fulfillment of biblical prophecy?
It is not.
Okay, then we disagree.
World War II was fought not over what everyone thought it was fought of. Every war is fought by, it is funded by the rich, the Rockefellers, all the rich, the Rothschilds.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
They funded all those wars.
Was Hitler bad?
I think Hitler was bad. Yes, Hitler was bad. Yes, but
did the Holocaust happen?
The Holocaust did happen.
How many people died?
Not 6 million.
How many?
There's not 6.
Was Hitler justified?
Side-
Insert that in.
no.
I'm not just
Throughout history is
Mengele was the
Charlie.
well. No, I find it hilarious that
All
no,
of Trump's cabinet
hold
is
on.
Jewish. Charlie,
well, you believe that the Jews run the American government.
that's not a secret, Charlie.
Well, no, I find it hilarious that
All
no,
of Trump's cabinet
hold
is
on.
Jewish.
well, hold on, Trump's whole cabinet. JD
They have
Vance
Jewish
is
connections. They're
hold on
married
second.
to a Jew. They have
JD
Jewish
Vance
descent.
is Catholic. Tulsi Gabbard is Hindu.
Jewish. They all have Jewish connections.
But you just
Every
said they
single
were,
yes, every single
you just
person
said they
is
were all Jewish. Christy Nome is an evangelical
They've converted
Christian.
to Judaism or Catholicism. They all have an AIPAC advisor.
Well,
Not a
hold
single
on,
person in
hold on, let's
Congress
let-
can make a decision without asking their
I-
Israeli Jewish AIPAC advisor
I do need
if
to
it's
go
okay
through
to
the
say.
entire list.
Israel did 9/11, Charlie.
Oh, they did. Wow. So if Israel did
You have to understand. There's only sacrifices people to.
in cancer, as you could
How
see,
is this
tell you.
killing innocent people in Palestine over?
This is definitely the part that I want everybody to hear from Charlie right here.
For the guise of sovereignty, New World Order is coming, Charlie.
Guys, let me tell you, anti-Semitism is literally a brain cancer, as you could see.
How is this anti-Semitic, Charlie?
Well,
How is it
you-
anti-Semitic?
how is it
How
anti-Semitic?
am I hating on Jews when
No,
I'm
no,
saying that
want-
they?
You keep interrupting me. Israel
That's fair,
did
I'm sorry.
9/11 is a rather anti-Semitic thing to say. Explain to me Flight 93 and
Because that's one of the talking points that they love to hit at. When they're criticized of things, you're being anti-Semitic. When the guy has a valid point. He's saying, bro, I'm not saying I don't like Jews. I'm not saying I hate the Jews. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that due to what I am, seeing with my own eyes, with how they're influencing our government, how they're influencing our president, it seems like they have a lot of control. And even Charlie is saying at this time right here that he's anti-Semitic. His brain is being rotted.
the families aboard that lost their loved ones, who actually was the hijacker? Was it a Mossad?
Additionally, to make it look,
They can never answer this question.
they were playing. It's like they found the just watched.
The biggest problem with their worldview is this, is that you are looking to other people to blame for all of our problems, especially a small group of people, albeit flawed. Every group is flawed. I'm not going to defend everything that every group has ever done. But I find it to be rather insidious and very treacherous, because you're going out of your way to try to create this big web of connections. And it's the Jews, and it's the Jews, and it's the Jews. And why are people overweight? Well, it's because of the Jews. And why are people sad? Because it's the Jews.
I never said that.
No, you're heavily inferring that every problem imaginable
say every
is
problem.
the Jews.
I did not say every problem.
And he didn't say every problem. But y'all are seeing, this is what I'm saying. Prior to Charlie changing his perspective and views, this is what he used to speak on. Not it's just what it was. And this was also a debate that I was like, can't get down with you on this one, Charlie. And I didn't watch Charlie Kirk's content until he died. So I wasn't able to like have a reaction in real time and then follow Charlie throughout the weeks to see, this, that, and the third. But when I was going back and watching all of his debates to hundreds of hours, this was one of the debates where I was like, very telling right here that he's saying this, because it's ironic to what his content was in his last, leading up to his last days on Earth. Because Charlie Kirk said it even more towards the end of this, that this guy was just tweaking out and he's just being anti-Semitic and he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's just coming up with excuses to blame the Jews, when in reality, the guy was spot on. Now, yes, I seen somebody say something about a 9/11 detail that he threw in there. But in general, this guy was spot on. And again, he's not saying he hates Jews or anything like that. He's just saying the Jews have a lot of influence on our government. And what do you know? And Charlie Kirk's leading up to his final days on Earth, he's telling Trump that we may need to rethink our relationship with Israel because they have heavy influence on Trump and going into this war with Iran. So now he's starting to question things. And it's funny because when he started to question things, he started to realize that he was stepping out of line. He started to realize that, hey, this I don't get paid for this. Why am I receiving so much hate? And I want to play two more things to just paint the big picture of what started to happen with Charlie once he started to question things. Let's see. I want to play this video with Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen this already, but this is when we can visibly see Charlie Kirk was very upset with how he was being treated, what people were texting him. Let's see right here. And you're going to see his frustration. I'm going to have to skip through a couple of things. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted because I played a lot of content tonight. But we're going to see a couple of different times in this clip where Charlie Kirk is visibly frustrated with his donors without saying his donors. But basically his donors, because if not, why would anybody really text him if you're not really affiliated with Charlie, if you're not really connected to Charlie to the point where, you know, you're genuinely pissing him off. I think he's getting pissed off because these people are connected to him. So we can just assume that these are donors. These are people that he thought was a good friend, because he's very frustrated on how he's being treated now that he is being critical of Israel.
Supporters of Israel and have defended Israel since the beginning of this conflict and spoken out about the anti-Semitism that has erupted on these college campuses many times back on anything related to Israel. Now you take it.
I'm so glad you brought this up, and I would second that, Megan. I think I have a bulletproof resume showing my defense of Israel, both on campus, on social media, to great, you know, let's just say mockery and scorn at times, because I believe it, right? I believe in the scriptural land rights given to Israel. I believe in fulfillment of prophecy. And again, I'm not a theologian, but I'm a Christian. My life was changed in Israel. The spiritual energy is so amazing there. I want them to win. I've said that repeatedly.
Same.
And however, Megan, you're hitting on something very potent and important. Now, let me first say, I don't want to judge an entire group, because there's been many people in the pro-Israel world that have been very sweet, very kind, very nuanced, very Charlie, you know, you're with us. You don't have to agree all the time. However, and I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat. I
hear his frustration. I want y'all to hear his frustration. Realize who he's talking to right now. And then just keep in mind that she was on that list of people that Trump blasted earlier on True Social. So why is Charlie Kirk starting to associate himself with Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson? I wouldn't even necessarily say start associating, but you can see he started to be more vocal with people that Trump doesn't like, that Trump bashed. This is what I mean by Charlie was going to be on that list if he was still here today.
Honor the Shabbat, literally the Jewish Sabbath. I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like, some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been so unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But
how many times does he have to say that? Just saying. This is the part where I'm saying his pockets are heavy with Jewish donors. His pockets are heavy with pro-Israel people. So when he has these conversations, he has to put disclaimers out so many times. Hey, I love you guys. I just want to let y'all know. You've said it once or twice, bro. We get it. But he has to continue doing this because he is stepping in enemy's territory right now. He's stepping out of line.
My moral character is now being put into question, Megan. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this. And I could go, I mean, you saw it, Megan. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make.
And I want to play one more clip from this video. It's going to be very, very interesting because Megyn Kelly goes on to talk about how she doesn't get paid by these people, so she can say whatever she wants. And I want y'all to pay attention to Charlie Kirk's face.
Lose, but you will weaken and just basically deflate two of your strongest advocates if that continues.
Right. And to me, I laugh because it's like, I've been bullied by the best of them. The best. And it didn't work. And it's not going to work with them. The more you try to tell me I can't criticize Israel, the more likely I am to do it, to focus on exactly what you're doing, right? Like what are you doing that you're so defensive? You don't own me. I don't take $1 of money from any Jewish affiliated group. That's never been what my show's model. I take, Cozy Earth is my sponsor. People like Genucel. Those are the people I take. And I probably.
Charlie cannot agree with that one, Megan. Megan got a point. She can say whatever she wants to. Charlie's sitting there like, dang, Megan. I probably should not have taken the hundreds of millions of dollars from the Jewish donors. Because Charlie cannot say the same thing. Megan can say whatever she wants to. Tucker Carlson can say whatever he wants. Candace Owens can say whatever she wants. The problem is that Charlie thought for a second he was like them. He thought he can say whatever he wants because he's Charlie Kirk. He thought he had the platform similar to Tucker Carlson, similar to Megyn Kelly, similar to Alex Jones, similar to Candace Owens, where he can come out and criticize if he wants to. It don't work like that. It didn't work like that. You already signed the dotted line. You signed the dotted line. The second you took that bad money, the second you took those hundreds of millions of dollars, it's over. You sold your soul. It's done. And it ultimately cost his life. It cost him his life. And what's so sad about everything is that when it came down to his memorial service, they still were political. They still were trying to control the narrative. They couldn't even say, you know what? We pressured this young man to the point where he's no longer here. And y'all know my take on what I think happened. But they couldn't even put that aside and say, Charlie Kirk is no longer here. The least we can do after having this man stressed out in his last couple of days is allow all of his real friends to come to his memorial service. That's the least we can do. We shouldn't make this political, right? Allow Candace Owens to come to the memorial service. Let's not make this about the Jewish donors sponsoring the memorial service and Trump there and this there, the Republican Party. Let's not make this a Republican pep rally. Let's allow his real friends to go to his memorial service and speak freely. So we know Candace Owens didn't go there, right? And everybody tried to use that as a bullet. Candace Owens wasn't going to be allowed on that stage. How do I know that? Because they wanted Tucker Carlson deplatform. They wanted Charlie Kirk to disassociate from Tucker Carlson. He said no. He said that plenty of times. Look at Turning Point today. When's the last time you see Tucker Carlson on Turning Point? At his memorial service. Amfest. And they hated it. He was trending because all the Jewish donors, all the pro-Israel Zionist people absolutely hated Tucker Carlson on that stage at Amfest. But they had to because they know Charlie would want that, but they didn't really want to do it. That's why, peep everything that's going on. Everything is a play. That's why Ben Shapiro had to go first. You think they would let Tucker Carlson go first? That's why they had to let Ben Shapiro go first, because they say, hey, if Charlie wants Tucker Carlson here, we'll just put him last, everybody. We'll just throw him last. We know he has to be on there because he has text messages that have been released saying that he will never get rid of Tucker Carlson. So if he doesn't show up to this event, we're going to snitch on ourselves, showing that we're going against Charlie's plan. So we have to throw Tucker Carlson in here, but how are we going to do it? I got an idea. Let's put his enemy opening up Amfest, as in Ben Shapiro. Let's put his enemy opening up Amfest after his wife, and then let's put Tucker Carlson last. And I want y'all to listen on how they made Charlie Kirk's memorial political. Because Tucker Carlson got up there and shared an interesting message. And I want to play it. Let's see. Yeah. Tucker Carlson shared an interesting message, and I want y'all to hear it at his memorial service. I want y'all to hear the news segment on how they explain Tucker Carlson's memorial speech. And I believe, it's going to play exactly what I want to hear anyway. So I want y'all to hear how they describe what happened, how Tucker Carlson's memorial speech went. Where's my video at? Oh, it's right here. Okay.
Conservative commentator Tucker Carlson is facing backlash tonight for comments he made at Charlie Kirk's Memorial Sunday in Arizona. Tonight, Jewish groups and Israeli media say Carlson promoted anti-Semitic conspiracy theories during his speech.
So it's about 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem, and Jesus shows up and he starts talking about the people in power, and he starts doing the worst thing that you can do, which is telling the truth about people, and they hate it, and they just go bonkers. They hate it, and they become obsessed with making him stop. This guy's got to stop talking. We've got to shut this guy up. And I can just sort of picture the scene in a lamplit room with a bunch of guys sitting around eating hummus, thinking about what do we do about this guy telling the truth about us? We must make him stop talking. And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I could just hear him say, I've got an idea. Why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem.
Carlson compared Kirk's death to the crucifixion of Jesus, describing a scene of people plotting to silence Jesus. Critics say this evoked harmful blood libel tropes and modern Israeli stereotypes. Prominent figures, including former Israeli officials, condemned Carlson's remarks, calling them offensive and dangerous. So far, no reaction or comment from Tucker Carlson.
Fox 11 weather.
Anti-Semitic for quoting the Bible? Now, let's think this through here, right? Tucker Carlson didn't say once that the Jews killed Charlie Kirk. He didn't say that one time. He quoted scripture on what happened to Jesus. Now, yes, we can correlate it to Charlie's death, right? We can correlate it to Charlie's death in the way of people wanting him to shut up. But how would you not tie that into the original narrative? The original narrative is Tyler Robinson wanted to shut Charlie Kirk up because he was sick of his hate. He was sick of Charlie Kirk spewing hate, so he had to go shut him up. Why wasn't that tied to Tucker Carlson's speech? How do you know Tucker Carlson wasn't talking about that narrative? How does it automatically jump to the Jews did it? Nobody said that. Tyler Robinson, what y'all are trying to make it seem like, it fits that. It fits the original narrative that I don't believe. So why wasn't that brought up? Why wasn't it brought up that, yeah, well, Tyler Robinson admitted that he wanted to shut Charlie Kirk up because Charlie Kirk spewed a lot of hate about transgender stuff. So Tucker Carlson quoting the Bible could directly correlate to the FBI narrative that Tyler Robinson wanted to shut him up. But they didn't look at it that way because they know Tyler Robinson didn't do it. They know that that is not true at all. That's why they're offended. How are you offended about something that wasn't even about you? Tucker Carlson ain't saying nothing about you. First off, he's quoting scripture that actually happened. So you can't feel judged and calling people anti-Semitic for actual scripture. That's what happened. But then to sit back and then play victim. Tucker Carlson came at us. That was very anti-Semitic of Tucker Carlson to say that on the stage. He's not even talking about you. Tyler Robinson is the one, right? Y'all told us that Tyler Robinson was the one that wanted to shut him up. So that story could have been about Tyler Robinson. But they're snitching on themselves. So I realized that today when I was going through and preparing for the show, and I was listening to the speech, and I didn't even come across that that video. I was trying to find the original Tucker Carlson speech. And I came across that video and I was like, wow. Wow. Even in death, Charlie's donors are trying to keep the narrative, to push the narrative. Even in death. They turned his memorial into politics. Even in death, they made it about them. But that's what happens. Charlie Kirk took the money, and it ultimately cost him his life. And even in death, he still had no control over how they were going to push their agenda over his dead body. And when I saw that, it was sickening watching that. Because I literally, in my mind, I was like, Tucker Carlson didn't even mention the Jews had something to do with Charlie Kirk's death. Didn't even mention it. And they made it about them. But that's how you know that they're guilty of something. I don't want to accuse anybody right now because I don't want to get into that. But that was very telling for me. I was like, y'all continue to snitch on yourself every single day. Every day. But yes, that was absolutely crazy. I do appreciate y'all for watching the entire show, even being 30 minutes late. Even while being 30 minutes late. I really do. So I'm definitely going to get to some of your comments on everything. Your comments and thoughts. But I really do appreciate all the support. Again, everybody, please hit the like button. I don't know what it's at right now, but I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, please hit the sub button. Don't be coming up in here just lurking and not hitting the sub button. It don't take anything out of you but to just hit sub. You don't even be knowing who you sub to. It don't hurt. It don't cost. Just hit the sub button. It helps me out. It does. So I appreciate it. Again, we're on the road to 20K. So I appreciate all the support along the way. So let's get to some of these comments for sure. I love chopping it up and yapping with y'all. Cost of Bad Money is a movie title with at least 3 Academy Award nominations. I didn't even know. Like, I had no idea. It's a movie title. I don't know if you're saying like it actually is, or you giving me some type of credit for the title. I don't know. Either way, I definitely was it runs through my mind all the time about how ultimately this is what cost Charlie his life. Because what Charlie was doing before the money started hitting his account was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the second his company went from a couple of, 50, 60 some thousand to all of a sudden 20 million and all of a sudden 80 million, 100 million, things took a turn. In the beginning of Charlie in the early TPUSA days, they wasn't even affiliated with a party. It was in their mission statement that they wasn't going to pick a side. And towards his final days, it's a Republican party, a Republican organization. We can all agree to that. They literally endorsed JD Vance on the stage back in December. So it is no longer just this conservative movement for independent thinking, free market, and all these other things. It's not like that no more. It's been completely infiltrated. I think it was infiltrated while Charlie was alive. I watched the Black Line Brief. Hopefully, we can chop it up one day. I haven't reached out to him yet, but I do watch him. So hopefully we can chop it up one day. I do love his content. Trump did a complete switcheroo. He absolutely did. It is very interesting and very disappointing to watch. And I think, we talk about this in the other live as well. It's sad to see people who once supported Trump and did all they could to get him into office, and he just completely turned on them. And he completely bashes them, disrespects them. It's sad to see. I think you have to be at a very low point in your life to turn on the people that once supported you. Because I think at the end of the day, you should be able to remember what they did for you. So that way you can remember that what they do is probably in your best interest. They may be being critical of you, but it's probably out of great genuineness. Like, I want you to be better, Trump. That's all. And when you don't have people like that in your corner, when you have yes men in your corner, they'll take you straight to the grave. Straight to the grave, because nobody around you will keep it a buck with you. They'll just tell you yes to everything because they're benefiting from it. So that's why they're saying yes all the time around Trump. Yes, man. Because they get the benefit from it. While Trump takes the heat. But he'll learn one day. Maybe not. I'm considering listening to Alex Jones again to see how he reacts to this tweet. He's been towing the line for Trump more than anyone. Yeah, I seen I think I listened to his reaction. He put out a video, if I'm not mistaken, earlier. Of his reaction to that tweet. So yeah, Alex Jones I never really listened to him like that for real. I definitely tuned out from Alex Jones when he started. He was part of the Calling Candace Crazy train. So it's hard for me to take Alex Jones serious. And this is not from you attack Candace, so I can't be cool with you and I can't listen to you. Nah, it's not like that. I will listen to anybody if I'm interested in the conversation, because I'm heavily invested into just dialogue in general. I love it. I love tough conversations, deep conversations, and all that stuff. So if somebody is speaking some great, if they have a great argument and it's compelling, I'll listen to it. But Alex Jones was one of those people that was just, Candace is crazy, cussing her out. And I'm like, well, here we are months later, and ends up something is fishy. And I already knew something was fishy, but now Alex Jones has been putting out videos basically saying that the original narrative is falling apart. And the bullet was found inconclusive, and the questions we have around Tyler Robinson, and nothing's making sense. Now Alex is coming around saying, oh, nothing's making sense. And I'm like, listen, bro, I do appreciate you for coming to the good side, but man, I can't get out of my mind how you called Candace crazy for so long. Kamala is a brainless wonder. Oh, man. If Charlie Kirk was still alive, his name would have been third on that list of names in that tweet. Absolutely. He would have been on there, and it would have been the end of Trump, because not a single person in MAGA, I would hope, because these people come up with lies all the time, but I don't think a single person in MAGA would back Trump if he turned and started disrespecting Charlie Kirk, because everybody knew Charlie Kirk was like another son to Trump, right? I think Erica said that in one of her speeches. So I think everybody knew Charlie Kirk was a little son to Trump. So for Trump to turn on Charlie and say stuff like that, which I think he would have, because again, it goes against Trump's donors. It's all about donors here. Everything the title means a lot. The title of this video, of this show, means a lot. But Trump's donors would be upset. They wouldn't allow Charlie Kirk to freely speak his mind the way that he probably would have. So I agree. He would have been on that list. When will another country regime change us? You know what's crazy about that is, I thought about that as well. Another country could look at what's going on with us and absolutely say, well, I think we should take out their regime. Like, we should take out Trump. We should take out their government, because we think that they're doing their people wrong. So how about let's go invade America and free the American people? That can be a valid argument. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not by no means saying that we aren't free. I'm very blessed. I am. But when you see your own country and government cover up different crimes like Charlie Kirk, JFK doesn't really make any sense. But when they're tied to these huge crimes that take out their own citizens, that is very, very concerning. Now, yes, these people are heavy, they're high public figures and stuff like that. And it wouldn't just be little old me. But sometimes you think you never know. These people go to the point of they sold our social media platforms off to another country, so that way that country benefits off of censoring us. So how far will they go? But it makes me think that another country could absolutely say, I believe Charlie Kirk was taken out by his own government. That is crazy. And they could easily use that as an excuse to have a regime change. But it is crazy. It's funny how we're always the judges of other nations when we don't even have our own house in order. I think the government thinks overall most people are low IQ. They are now pissed because we actually aren't, and we are speaking up. Yeah, absolutely. I think that social media was one of the worst things to evolve in our favor. Obviously we don't have access to all of the intelligence. We only have a piece of it compared to what the government actually has. But they still are not a fan of us having this much access to the internet. They don't want that. If it was up to our government, they would throw us back into the day where we had landline phones. We didn't have Wi-Fi. I remember those days. I don't know how old everybody is, but I was a part of the era growing up, and you when you leave school, that's the last time you talk to your friends. There was no getting on social media and seeing people Instagram video, TikTok video, whatever other platform video, and you pictures, you get to comment. No. All the way up until about 7th, 8th grade, I was in that era where you wouldn't see your friends or talk to your friends until you got to school the next day. Or if you wanted to talk to them, you got to hit them up on a landline phone. And if your mama on the phone, you got to wait till your mama get off the phone. We didn't have social media. If you wanted to see your friends, you had to take a bike to the house. We didn't know what was going on from one state to another, from one county to another county. Bump the states. Now we're in an era where social media and intelligence and technology is so advanced that we're connecting with each other from across the world. Screw the nation, from across the world. It's people that come here all the time in the chat saying, watching from Australia, watching from New Zealand, watching from all these different countries. This is their worst nightmare. Their absolute worst nightmare. Because now we get to come together and discuss. They don't want that. That's why when presidential elections start to come around, how it's funny. I don't know how much y'all paid attention in the last election. These people are now going on podcasts. They're going on streams because they know where the people are. Can't wait to see how Candace responds. Hopefully it includes something about the first lady standing up to be. Yeah, I'm curious on how Candace responds as well. Because it's she definitely has thick skin. She has had thick skin throughout all of this. She is one strong woman. I will tell you that, because there are a lot of times where, I'm just like, man, she being dragged, man. She be getting dragged on the internet. And it is very tough to see sometimes, a lot of times. And, she's a mother of many kids. So I could only imagine. And so seeing now the president's coming out and calling you ugly and saying that Bridget Macron looks better, looks way more beautiful than Candace Owens by a landslide. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's the times we live in right now. I agree. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know. Maybe Trump be into some weird stuff. Maybe. This is funny. Yeah, all 10 out of 10 remaining MAGA supports him. I agree, man. It's a very small group of people that are MAGA now. And if you're somebody that disagrees with what Trump's doing, Trump is saying you don't support me. So it's like narcissistic behavior. It's crazy. If you disagree with what I'm saying, you don't support me. So when I take a poll to figure out who supports me, who's a friend to me, I'm the one that's choosing. And I'm going to choose the people that just agree with everything I say. Even though you're telling me that you do support me, you just disagree with what I'm doing in this one particular move. No. I'm only going to take yes men. Yes men are going to be in my MAGA club. This is exactly why I believe Trump was fully a part of Charlie's murder, because he does not give a F about anyone but himself. This is the reality that we live in, and it is very tough to come to these terms. I think about this all the time, obviously, and It does. It's very unsettling. It really is. It's unsettling because I'm gonna say to think, even though we know, but to think that our president allowed something like this to happen, and he knows, he's aware, especially if there's foreign involvement. He was aware. To think that he knows the real story on what happened to Charlie Kirk, and he's just going about his life. It's just so bizarre, just because of how much Charlie was so vocal about loving Trump. And I watched a video the other day of Charlie crying when Trump got elected, and how much work he put in to get Trump into office. Both times. I think the first time they gave him a lot more credit than he was supposed to get. That was kind of weird, but definitely the second time, Charlie did a lot. So to see Trump turn his back on Charlie, and the situation, the way it's playing out at the moment, is very, I don't know, it's an eerie feeling to know that, Trump allowed these people to do this. This is when war is supposed to be about. Like, this is when war is supposed to, that conversation of war comes up, is when you find out, let's just say there is foreign involvement of another country, and you find out that they had some type of military operation that got Charlie Kirk eliminated. And as the president, you find out that there are foreign entities. This is when you just, I'm cutting all ties with y'all forever. To the blue and white country, all funding, all military, it stops. You just took out one of the biggest voices in the conservative movement. You just took out one of my closest friends. I draw the line. Our relationship is over. We're no longer allies. But you don't see that. Instead, you see that he is actually a part of the cover-up, because he's using his wife as a shield. See, it's sad, man. It really is. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody that goes to different platforms to support the content. I really do. I'm sorry, 11:03. 11:03. Mermaid Dreams, thank you for the dono. The day Charlie was assassinated, I told my adult kids, mark my words, this was an ordered hit by 3 countries, France, Izzy, and ours, which broke me to say, as I voted for that man 3 times. Soon as they brought Tyler Robinson out, I knew they was lying. I agree. I think that you are spot on with your theory. I think that it is multiple entities involved. And I do think, in my opinion, that it involved these exact 3 countries. I do. And yes, it is sad. It's very sad. And I knew that the Tyler Robinson story just wasn't making sense at all. And the way that it's coming out right now, and it's crumbling down right now, I can't wait. I can't wait for it to crumble so bad to the point where, somebody's able to be revealed. I want people to be exposed. I want real justice. I talk about all the time how I didn't really know Charlie like that before he died. I knew Candace Owens, and I knew the name Charlie Kirk. I was familiar with his face, but I never knew how much of an influence he was on the people. I never really knew his platform like that. So I never really knew him like that. And I know that's how a lot of people found my content, is because I first started sharing my thoughts on Charlie Kirk and one of the first things I said was, I didn't really know him, but I am backing a lot of things he's saying, and I can't believe this happened to him. And seeing somebody like Charlie Kirk, and he seemed like he truly had, great intentions for the most part. There are a lot of things that I think I've seen some comments as well as people saying that, they had to unfollow him because of this, that, and the third. Because yes, he has said some crazy things that I disagree with as well. I think when he was pro-Israel, he said a lot of crazy things that they probably loved and he probably was told to say. But yeah, I agree with your entire theory for sure. And it is sad to see that, the people that have voted for Trump so many different times and see him turn in this last term is just very, very disappointing. No such thing as free lunch. I think Charlie was figuring that out in the end. Absolutely. I agree. I think he figured it out in the end. And I think, it comes down to, he was 31 when he died. But when he was 23 years old, he was making 200, 300 bands a year. So this is when you got to have the right people in your corner. This is where your Candace Owens were, they were great for Charlie. She was great for Charlie. And, she shared stories on how they started to pull them apart. She shared stories on how she was trying to tell him many times that don't take money from this person, that person. But he was 23 when he was making six figures. So I think it's very hard to tell somebody, hey, that's not the right way. Because, 23 sounds very old, but it's also a very immature age in big boy life, in real life. So, 23, you haven't really gone through much in life. So I think nobody could really tell Charlie anything. And unfortunately, it cost him his life in the end. But yeah, at 23 years old, he was making six figures. I was supposed to go through some of the 990 forms tonight, but, I'll do that another time. And it's public information if anybody was interested. But he was making some big, big top dollars. And when you lead with that, things take a turn for the worse. I think that's why Miss Shalami came around. Miss Shalami came around and she didn't love Charlie for Charlie. She loved Charlie for that bread. Charlie was 6'5", but when he stood on his money, he was 7 feet. She wasn't looking at Charlie for Charlie. Y'all seen her roster. Her roster contains athletes and entertainers. Erica didn't all of a sudden say, I want to work for a nonprofit. She ran a couple of nonprofits, but she didn't go from living in New York to then all of a sudden, I want to work for a nonprofit. It didn't happen. And I'm going to stand on this every time. No woman in this world would go on a job interview to Bob's Burger and the person that's supposed to be your boss asks you on a date and you say yes in that very moment at Bob's Burger. No woman in this chat, no woman in real life, no woman that has great intentions would say yes to that request in that moment of going on a date, be my girlfriend, all that stuff. No girl is saying yes. No woman is saying yes to that. Erica was assigned a job. Tyler Boyer set that entire thing up. And he prepared the both of them, in my opinion. I think he prepared the both of them. Charlie, you should definitely do this. Erica's this, Erica's that. Go in there with some confidence and shoot, just ask her, man. I think she's great for you. And he prepped Erica on it as well. And he set them up. No hate to Lisa. I already forgot her name, but her talking points didn't age well this week regarding the Tyler case. It fell apart. Mountain of evidence is now a molehill. Yeah, I'll be checking her page every now and then. Because I'm not gonna lie, it's very entertaining. I gave her props the other day when we was debating, but it's very entertaining hearing her defend absolutely everything. Because it's like, one, nobody in Turning Point is doing it, right? Nobody in Turning Point is responding and all that stuff. So it's entertaining listening to Gary and Lisa just pull all these different strings to try to make it make sense. I love listening to it because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I don't listen to it all the time, but when she does come up, depending on what the topic is, I'll listen to it because I'm just like, this is not gonna make any sense at all, but I gotta hear it. I got to, because please make some sense out of what's going on right now. When she tries, it doesn't ever make any sense at all. It doesn't help her case at all. But her and Gary together, when they talk about a topic involving this Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, all that stuff, Erica, I love listening to it because I'm like, man, y'all don't make it any better. Y'all are very entertaining though. So, man, I donated to TPUSA after Charlie passed. I think they fooled everybody. So you definitely aren't the only one. Hopefully that makes you feel better. But you aren't the only one. I think they tricked everybody. They fooled everybody. And, you know, I guess one thing that I can leave you with is all the people that donated to Turning Point USA after Charlie died was hundreds of millions, right? And then Erica got up on that stage and said, it's tough being a single mom. You know, I didn't ask for this. I'm the sole provider of my kids. She said that with your money. She said, I'm the sole provider of my kids. It's hard out here. Now, don't get me wrong. Losing your husband, losing the father of your kids is tough for sure. But I can't give her the benefit of the doubt on her saying that and meaning that, because she also said, I'm not afraid to be a single mom, because her mom was a single mom. She said, I'm not afraid to do this by myself. So I'm not going to give her that benefit of the doubt. But she went on that stage and said, or she went on that Club America stage when she was talking to the kids and said, you know, I'm the sole provider. I didn't ask for this. And I literally thought, you're set for life off of the donations you received at your husband's memorial service. You don't have to do anything in life ever again. I think that was the purpose of a lot of people's donations. Maybe not yours, but I think a lot of people was like, hey, that's typically, you know, what happens. Hey, instead of rushing into work, instead of stressing over anything, because she didn't really need the money anyway. Charlie had 100 M's in the bank already. Here's more money. Here's another 100 M's. Erica, please go to another country, go to an island and disappear, and just we won't blame you at all. Just take the money and just go on vacation forever. You don't have to work ever again. Instead, she chose to force herself to work, which I don't think she voluntarily did it. I think these are the people that control her, because there's no sane person on that TPUSA board that would say, Erica, you have to be the one to step up. There's no way they came to a unanimous decision saying that was a great idea. So somebody's controlling that. But all them donations went to Erica for Erica to never have to worry about work again. And then here she is on everybody's TV. We're building. I'm never with my kids, but we're building. Go vote. Please vote for Republican Party. Vote for JD Vance. Wow. Okay. Fleet did Lisa so dirty with her debate. Yeah, I saw that video. That was pretty funny. That kind of money is to keep close tabs on your life. Their hands are literally in your pockets. All you spend that money on is theirs. If you built your life on that money, that's theirs too. Absolutely. Absolutely, Mark. I mean, that's Charlie was young. He didn't really understand that part of life and how money works. But absolutely, if you get paid hundreds of millions of dollars at your charity, it's for a reason. You're not going to go up there and you get to do whatever you want. Then on top of that, you're living the lavish life as well because of them. So the same way they gave it to you, the same way they can take it. The same way you on top of the world, the same way they'll make it come crumbling down. And that's why you really cannot, I wouldn't say boast. I wouldn't say Charlie was boasting or bragging or anything like that, but he definitely was confident. And I was just like, hey, man, you can't feel like you on top of the world when at the end of the day, these people, your donors, have you feeling this way. They can take it from you with the snap of a finger. Absolutely, though. I do agree with you. This clip right here, while I stopped watching Charlie, I had no idea he waking up to the BS until after 9:10. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I heard that a lot, that video with Charlie was kind of like a turning point for a lot of people to unfollow him. I think he made a couple comments about, the Israel and Palestine war. I think he made a couple comments on that too, and a lot of people started to unfollow him on there as well. So it's interesting because at the end of the day, leading up to his death day, he was changing his mind, and he probably was starting to backtrack a little bit. So, but yeah, he was very, very deep into that donor talk. So sad what money can do to people. Money can, depending on the person, man, money can make somebody do a lot of crazy things, depending on how desperate they are, depending on how scared they are. And you can tell that in this situation, this money was ultimately the demise for Charlie Kirk. I mean, his closest friends are covered and protected and essentially took the money as well, because his closest friends aren't coming out saying something's off with Charlie. Something's off with this Charlie Kirk investigation. Something's off with the Tyler Robinson. So they took the money too, believe it or not. It might not have been billions, but they took something in exchange of their integrity, in exchange of their great friendship that they so pridefully brag on. It took the money. So now they sold their soul. Now they can't speak for truth. So money is a very scary thing when it comes down to the wrong person, because it really shows people's true colors. I'm sure everybody's had, that one friend that you've came across in life where you could just tell money just changed them. It changed how they move. It changed how they operated. And when they either start to run low on money and they'll do absolutely anything, or when people are faced with an opportunity to change their entire situation, and they're thinking about where they're at right now, and they're thinking about where they can be or where they would be if they took the money. And it happens every day. It happens every single day. That's why people have to just continue to be rooted and grounded, and their foundation is based and laid on something else outside of money. Money can't be everything to you. And that was one thing that I listened to with Charlie Kirk's content as well, is that he was very obsessed with money. Anytime he had him and Erica, I wouldn't say every time, but a lot of times when him and Erica was on a podcast together, he was always just bragging about money. Not necessarily how much he make, but it was more so like men make a lot of money to keep your girl at home. Make a lot of money. If you can't do this, just make more money. If you can't do this, just make more money. He was very obsessed with money. And when you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. I don't care about money like that. Money is definitely not my foundation. Money is an addition. It's a great thing to have. You need it, but it is not my foundation. People are faced with that all the time. You have a job right now that's paying you, let's just say 80 grand a year. Solid money. Nothing crazy, but solid. You get a job opportunity that's offering you 150. Somebody that's desperate is just going to take it and not even think about it. Oh, that's life-changing money. Oh my God, it's a crazy increase. But then somebody that's not there when somebody's foundation is not based around money, they're going to sit back and think and say, dang, well, if I take more money, what does that come with? Yeah, I'm making 150,000, but does that take me away from my kids more? Is it worth it? Am I going to be working longer hours? Because typically more money comes with more responsibilities. You know that with jobs. I can only imagine receiving hundreds of millions as Charlie Kirk. I would sit back and say $100 million. You just gave me, even if you gave me $5 million. $5 million is not little boy money. So I would immediately say $5 million just for me to talk about, to push conservatism. What more do you want with this $5 million? What does this come with? But those are the questions you should be asking at all times. With regular jobs, I would say 150,000. Yeah, that sounds great, but pros and cons. Does it take me away from my family more? Am I going out the house more? Am I traveling? Maybe I'm more stressed. Because if that's the case, I would rather stay at where I'm at. All money is not good money. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Now we have an understanding. Shalamis are Erica and her soldiers. But we can, yes, I like yappers though. I like yappers. I do like that. I am. I'm always watching. I glance over every time. Just I can't heavily invest into it because I got to make sure that I don't lose my train of thought. But I always be watching though, all the time. Indeed, the daily appers love it. Makes you feel like I belong. Absolutely, I appreciate y'all for always supporting and always listening. Your local small show right here. I'm enjoying it. I truly am. I do appreciate y'all. I can't really say it enough because 2026 was the year that I was going to commit to YouTube. So I've been asked plenty of times over the course of like all last year. People kept asking, and I was like, man, I don't know. But that was my New Year's resolution. Was committed to YouTube and really giving it my all. And I have truly enjoying it. It does not feel like, I don't know anything. I'm just having fun doing it. This because Candace was saying all this to Charlie at the time. He was towing the line. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about that Candace has been trying to tell Charlie about all the things that he finally started to see in the end. And there's an age difference. That's what we talk about, that age. But I'm sure Candace, it weighs on Candace a lot. I can only imagine how Candace feels about Charlie every single day, knowing that she warned him a lot about people, about money, about what's going on in the world, about taking the stand and taking the stand on what's right and what's wrong, being on the right side of history. I'm sure it does get to Candace quite often, because I feel like as a friend, you think about, did I try enough? Like, yes, I tried to get Charlie to open his eyes, but did I give up too soon? Should I have tried harder? He started to see in the end, maybe if I pushed a little bit harder at this time, maybe he would have saw a little bit earlier. I'm sure it haunts her. I'm sure. And it's tough for me to hear too, because I can easily put myself in her shoes and just think about how the things that ultimately cost him his life is what she warned him about. So it's tough. Like all groups, I have no problem with any member other than the ones who feel superior to me. Right. I mean, I don't really, I never really understood why people don't understand this perspective. Because Candace Owens was at one point pro-Israel and stuff like that. Tucker Carlson too, all of them. But yeah, in that argument, it's like, bro, nobody is saying I don't like the Jews and hate people, and that's not the point at all. But if somebody feels like they're above me, then that's a problem. If somebody is going out their way to control, the media and controlling things, then that's a problem. Why do you feel like you need to control me? That is an issue. It doesn't matter what group you come from. It's a problem. And we've seen the proof in that as well. So that's why when Charlie was saying all that, I said, man, we saw this happen with Kanye. We saw this happen with Kanye. So why are you that's what makes me feel like Charlie was just saying things to keep the donors happy. Because I'm like, dude, you know what happened to Kanye, Charlie. You know that already. We saw what happened to Kyrie Irving. This is public information, like Buddy was saying on the YouTube video, on the debate. This is public information. We know that we know that they have influence on our government. We know that they have influence on our social media. So to say that, oh, if you think that it's anti-Semitic, I'm like, come on, Charlie. But that's why I think, again, he's just pushing that donors message. Because that's exactly what the donors say. That's exactly what Josh Hammer, that's exactly what Ben Shapiro, all of those people say, is that if you say the Jews control the media, you're anti-Semitic. And it's like, I'm not. How am I anti-Semitic? How is me saying that anti-Semitic? Bibi Netanyahu is on camera saying that he cannot wait for the TikTok sale to happen because he's going to be able to control the propaganda. He said it out his mouth. So how is me saying it anti-Semitic? He only woke up literally like the last 3 months he was alive. Man, I agree. Unfortunately, it was far too late, way too late. It's so crystal clear that they killed him for changing his mind. Absolutely. Give him credit though. He didn't shut the person down. He allows the conversation without canceling the person. He does. That's something that I can always respect with Charlie. You rarely can find any footage of Charlie Kirk just spazzing out on a student. He was a great debater. He always was. He kept it respectful, even when people yelled at him and disrespected him. He kept it respectful. So absolutely, I watch Charlie every day. I unsubbed when he said he's done talking about that guy along with a bunch of other creators, but I didn't know he was questioning it all before he died. Yeah, that was one of those things, man. Again, just he realized it way too late. Way too late. Way too late. It's unfortunate. They have manipulated that if one says they don't like the government policies, it's construed to you are anti-Semitic. It was by design to manipulate and control. I agree. I do agree with you. Have you seen the ballroom? Dave Smith show he did right after Amfest with Josh Hammer. Okay, I'll go back and watch it. I know, right? While EK is always at the White House, all in the president's face, kissing up to them. Yeah, right. She's at every single White House event. And Trump always has to acknowledge her. I hope y'all peep that. He always has to somehow bring her up. It probably gave Charlie some hope that he had someone publicly on his side. I think that's what, Charlie was realizing, is that at the end of the day, the people that he was told to separate and distance himself from were going to be his real friends in the end. Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. People that have probably talked to Charlie behind closed doors about having a change of perspective. And his donors were telling him to deplatform them, stop talking to them, distance yourself. And I think in the end, Charlie realized that his real true friends were Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. I hope so. I hope so. I hope y'all did. I definitely enjoyed it and enjoying it, because I'm not done with the comments yet, but I hope so. Yes, please, please. I hopped on so late. I forgot to put the poll. I was supposed to put a poll in the chat. I'm gonna have to put a poll for the next one. Remember, that was right when she announced the French Foreign Legion had a hit on her, so she didn't go to the memorial. Yes, I do remember that with Candace Owens. She did. That was right before that. And, that obviously for sure would have been a crazy and stupid thing to do for her to go to the memorial service with that, circulating. And I also think that Candace Owens was one of the people that the donors would just not allow to be in the building, in the stadium. There's no way. The way that they immediately jumped to Charlie and Candace having been friends in 4 or 5 years, the way that they immediately jumped to that when Candace first came out, that just goes to show you that they had no intentions on inviting Candace to begin with. And if y'all go watch Candace and Charlie's old content, man, it might make you cry. It might make you cry. They had a real friendship, man. It's so sad to know that, they didn't even make it all the way to the end as what the friendship used to be. The fact that they was kind of divided and split up and not necessarily not friends anymore, but they just weren't the same. And to see how it all plays out, that in the end, Charlie was turning back to Candace and saying, "You were right." And how they would have came back together. The gang would have got back together and changed the world. Changed the perspective. Because if they did that, again, this would have changed politics completely. Completely. All the huge conservative voices are now independently on a platform. You would have had Candace, Tucker, and Charlie all having their own platform. All people that used to be in MAGA now all have their own platform, thriving. Charlie wasn't even at his own memorial, and it was the event of the century. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe she called it that. I couldn't believe she said merch. She was focused on merch sales. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't. Yeah, bro, that Tucker speech is different in this context. It does. And I need to I got to talk about that video some more, because when I saw that today, I was stunned. I couldn't believe they made that about them when Tucker knew what he was doing too. He knew what he was doing. So I understand the play on words, the choice of that specific story in the Bible. But I mean, it's true. It's true. They wanted to silence Charlie Kirk. He never said who. He never said who. That young man. I forgive him. I couldn't, man. She had me. She got me for like about a month. Maybe less. Maybe like 2 weeks after that. Not that I was like moved by that, but like I came to her defense. I still have videos up. Me saying like, man, maybe she is grieving differently. Maybe she's at a place where, where she's at and her faith is further along than me, because I don't know how I could forgive somebody that quick. I don't know. Not that I would just hate and hold a grudge, but like it ain't been that long. So like, I don't know. That's what I was saying. I was like, but maybe, I never lost somebody this way. Maybe I'm not far along in my faith. She had me for sure for a couple of weeks. The kind of hate that can't be, the kind of hate can't be negotiated out. Facts. Facts. They either play the victim or make it about religion. And I seen Ben Shapiro's, he put out something today talking about, he referenced the Old Testament to justify this war with Iran. And I'm like, there they go. The only thing they can use is the Old Testament, because, they don't believe in Jesus the way Protestant Christians do, or Christians in general. They don't believe in Jesus in that way. So the only thing they can refer or reference is the Old Testament. So Ben Shapiro tried to do that today and put out this whole video talking about that God said to go do this and go do that. And I'm like, bro, that's the Old Testament, brother. But I forgot you don't believe in Jesus. You have a different opinion about Jesus. The Jews snitched on Jesus, turned him into the Romans. But that's what happens though. These are the people that have influence on our government. People that don't even believe in Jesus like that. And at the same time trying to tell everybody else that we look at the Bible wrong. And they try to weaponize the Bible on us. People got to remember and wake up that this is exactly how people use the Bible and weaponize it as a tool to gain control and power over people. It happens every day. It's happened throughout our entire lifetime. And before us. I appreciate it. I really do. I love yapping with y'all. I really do. We on the 2 hour and 17 mark, and I didn't even realize it. I think questions and comments started at like an hour and 15 minutes. I wish I could super chat, but I gave a tip on Tyler Robinson having a different Dairy Queen on Baron Coleman's live ever since Apple is trying to charge me money for a charge. It's completely fine, man. Do not feel pressured on doing that at all. That is just a generous thing that cool. That's fine too. Definitely do not do it for anything like that. So I appreciate the support in general of you being here, listening, watching, and being a part of the reason that this video can be pushed to the algorithm. That means a lot. So that is completely fine. You don't have to say anything like that. It's awesome seeing your channel grow. You're fantastic at this. Keep sharing the truth. The world needs more of you guys willing to do it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. You're a mod for Black Line Brief. I'd love to see a collab with you too. I'll reach out to him. And see what happens. Yep, that's when I stopped watching Candace. Completely compromised when he started attacking Candace. Yeah, Alex Jones definitely got me when he was going at Candace. I was like, I can't get with you. Can't get with you on that one. So now I just can't get that out of my head when I hear him. Because he's coming around and now he's questioning the narrative. And I'm like, I mean, it takes humility to admit you're wrong. But that's another thing. I don't think he's admitted that he was wrong about Candace. I gotta hear that part and I can feel a little bit better. I think he's just jumped straight to like the narrative doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, yeah, bro, but you gotta apologize because you definitely went way too far when he was talking about Candace. I see y'all talking about Baron's episode tonight. I gotta watch it. I haven't been able to watch it. I fell asleep, but I'm gonna watch it and see what all he talked about tonight. You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money. Preach. Trump donors were probably Charlie's. Y'all are starting to wake up now. Yes. Presidential candidates also have donors. Yes. All of these people for sure back Trump. All of these people for sure put money in Trump's pocket. Like, again, my huge conspiracy is that once Charlie got Turning Point to where it's at, and it was directly tied to Trump, and it had the influence to get Trump elected this on his second term. That blue and white country straight infiltrated Turning Point. Then they started to realize that they can funnel money through Turning Point versus funneling money in other ways to influence Trump. Now they can get away with it by funneling it through Turning Point. And then from Turning Point, it goes straight into the Trump campaign. And now Turning Point is just a full-blown Republican organization that is a Trump supporting organization versus, we're just a conservative organization that push independent thinking, free market, all this other stuff. So, yeah, the blue and white country was able to funnel money through Turning Point. So I think there was money laundering. I think there was embezzling. I think all those things happened in Turning Point, in my opinion. And then it funnels through all the way to the White House, and then the influence goes all the way through. So that's why it was a huge reason. That's why it was a huge reason they had to eliminate Charlie, in my opinion. I probably shouldn't go that far because they love to try to take stuff down when you go into theories. But that's why they had to eliminate Charlie, because they wanted to use Turning Point as a tool of influence. They knew how much power and influence it had over the people. So if they can infiltrate Turning Point and turn Turning Point into this Zionist organization that pushes their propaganda, then they're able to directly control, one, the influence, the people, the youth, because they have so much access to the youth, all the data farming that Turning Point does. Then on top of that, they control who gets elected into office. So now they don't have to necessarily wait until the very end to figure out if it's going to be a Democrat or a Republican. All they have to do is funnel the money into Turning Point and already kind of game plan who's next in line to be the president. So JD Vance was picked. He's probably heavily tied with the blue and white country. He's pretty up to date on that. So the fact that Turning Point is endorsing JD Vance, Turning Point wasn't doing that out of the kindness of their heart. All of them were tied together, every single one of them. So now, instead of the blue and white country waiting to figure out who gets voted, who gets into office, the blue and white country dictates who gets into office. So now with JD Vance, you're talking about, if the blue and white country is funneling all of Turning Point and they're doing all of this stuff through the Republican Party, through Turning Point, that means they will have control over JD Vance. He gets into office in 2028. Let's just say he's elected. His first term goes to 2032. His second term could potentially go to 2036. So this huge move that they did is going to ultimately decide the president from all the way up into 2036. So if they can get somebody like Trump to control, which is JD Vance, I think would do the exact same thing as Trump, they would have control over our government all the way up until potentially 2036. But they wasn't going to be able to do that with Charlie in a way, because Charlie was going to say, look, I'm not pushing no pro-Israel stuff in my movement. I'm an American first, and then we can talk about our allies second. They don't operate that way. So they had to get rid of Charlie in order to be able to push that propaganda and to fulfill that game plan. But JD Vance is going to lose the election. I think he's going to lose a lot of people in general, but definitely if he decides to pop out with Miss Shalami, that's over with. Ain't nobody going to vote for him if he do that. We regime change other countries all the time. We hate to get a taste of our own medicine. Absolutely. I agree. Facts. Waited 10 minutes for a dial-up to connect, and then the call kicks you off. Facts. Sorry, I'm just reading through. Yeah, I watched Charlie first. I mean, I watched Candace first and then watched Charlie. I agree. I mean, same for me. You know who or what APAC was, nor did we give a dang about Jewish anything until it is now shoved down our throats, and we are either to treat and speak better of our greatest ally or risk being sued. Yeah. Yep. That sums up where we are today. It has never been this big of an issue until they made it an issue. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that anti-Semitism doesn't exist, but they make it a big deal. It's not as big of a deal as they make it seem. It is not this huge problem in America. We have many other things to worry about. And you also cannot blame people for being critical of Israel when they wiped out an entire civilization. Like, what are we talking about? And we know that it was I want to say that word, but we know what they did to Gaza was crazy. Anybody justifying that is crazy. So when they use that bullet to say you're anti-Semitic because somebody's like, hey, I don't like what y'all did to Gaza. And they're like, oh, you're anti-Semitic for saying that. What? I said it before. We're giving them $15-20 billion a year. That's without war and stuff. That's regular stuff. That's the norm. $15-20 billion a year America's given to Israel, just for Israel to turn around and call us racist every day. Trump ain't ish, but Vance is worse. Yeah, JD Vance had me fooled, man. I said in his debate with Tim Walsh back then, when he was doing the vice president debate, I was a fan of JD Vance. I said, man, I can't wait till that guy's in office. He seems like a genuine human being. He seems cool. But no, I agree that I think JD Vance would somehow be worse. Yeah. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Man, the amount of time she says this, not to be morbid, my husband is dead. The amount of time she brings this up. She said that in that little secret meeting with the students one time, and she was like, my husband's no longer here. I'm like, lady, I think everybody in the building know that. We don't need to bring this up right now. She's like, my husband's no longer here. I don't know what he would say about the Iran war. There's literally footage of what he would say about the Iran war. So why don't you just repeat what he has been saying in the videos? That's what makes me just be like, dude, this woman you don't help yourself. She doesn't help herself. If you don't want to look like you in on the deletion of your husband, then you better start acting a little bit more normal. Such as knowing that it's public information that Charlie Kirk was against the Iran war. So it doesn't really hurt for the wife to come out and say, my husband was against the Iran war. He wouldn't like this. I think that's very normal to do. It's not an idea that's so crazy that we've never heard of. Charlie's on camera saying it plenty of times. But the fact that she has never came out to say that, instead, out of all the times she says she knows what Charlie is doing, right? Charlie's dancing in heaven and how much work we have coming up. Charlie's dancing in heaven and all the hat sales and all the stamps you get to put on the mail to send the packages out. He's dancing in heaven with Jesus over that. You're so confident in that, right? But you're not. You can't. When it comes down to the Iran war, she was like, I don't know what Charlie would say. I don't know. You don't know about that, even though we have proof of what Charlie would say then. but you're confident that Charlie's dancing in heaven, that your employees have to work 80-hour weeks. Come on, lady. Dude, I love when Coach Colin imitates Brandon Tatum. I love it. Brandon Tatum is another person that I actually used to listen to a lot before Charlie died. And man, I would never listen to that guy again. That's he is so far gone. He's the worst of the worst. Do you think Charlie secretly liked Candace, and once he couldn't have her, rush to Erica? I don't think so. I think they were just great friends. There was an age difference. Now, at that age, it doesn't really mean anything, but it was an age difference, and I think Candace was a little bit more mature and knew a little bit more, and than Charlie. But I just think they loved each other on a friendship level, and I think due to Charlie having such a lack of experience with women, because I think he only dealt with like one woman before Erica. I think due to that, I think he kind of was in a way rushing a little bit to find that person, to find his forever lover. Candace got married, so he kind of lost that. It's not the same. You can't hang out with Candace every single day now because Candace is married. So I think he just was waiting for that to come. And unfortunately, people knew that in his corner and set him up for failure. I think Tyler Boyer used that and manipulated him into thinking that this was just a sign from God, that this woman walked in the cafe and wants to be your wife, and you just so happen to be talking about wanting a wife lately. So I think he was strategically rushed. I don't think he necessarily wanted to, but I think that he had people in his corner that was like, if we can get Erica to be his partner, be his wife, then we can kind of get a reign on Charlie. We can kind of control him a little bit. So yeah, but to answer your question, I don't think he secretly liked Candace. I don't think Candace secretly liked him. I just think they just had a great relationship, great friendship. And that was pretty much it. And I think they thought alike. They thought very similar. And I think they loved the fact that they were the same person in boy and girl form. Why do I think his sister isn't speaking out? Great question. I think it's so tough because, I try to put myself in their shoes, and I don't see any version of this story of me sitting out and not saying anything. I just can't see it happening. I would speak out. I don't care what would come with it, because at the end of the day, my brother is dead. So I would speak out regardless of what could come with it. His parents staying silent, I don't know. Again, I can't even imagine a version of this story that if I was in it, me not speaking up. I would say something. I wouldn't allow his wife to hijack his career. I would say something. I would. That's just me and my personality, how I am. Maybe there's other things that are involved that prevent them from stepping forward and speaking up. But I don't know. For me, I'm just not sold on a lot of things. I'm not sold on anything. You're not going to change who I am. So I don't care how much money you throw in my face. I don't care about any of that. If I feel like something's off and wrong, I'm going to say something, especially when my brother or son is no longer here. It's up. It's war. So like, yeah, I don't know. Your favorite yapper's favorite yapper. I love that. JD's only good for memes. Used to listen to Tatum too. Yeah, Tatum used to be good, man. He really did. He changed for the worse, and it's so bad now. Like sometimes I can listen to people, and I don't agree with you, but I can listen. I can't listen to him at all, man. It feels so forced that he's like being paid by somebody. Because I'm like, there's no way that these are your thoughts. And I know what you used to say and how you used to think a year ago. What happened? And then he tries to gaslight everybody. He's like, I'm not getting paid. And I'm like, what, you doing all this for free? That's crazy too. Because I know what you used to talk about. I used to know what your perspectives would be. You can kind of guess, like what your favorite creators and favorite people that you like to listen to. You know what their thoughts would be on certain things. And he just completely flipped. They were probably pushing him to find a wife and kids so he could appear more presidential. Yeah, I agree as well. That's 100%. A thing. He has to look like that perfect candidate. Charlie, the Bachelor, doesn't really suit politics like that. Especially when you want to be looked at as kind of like a winner. So yeah, I think they had to manufacture his entire life. When he was a bachelor, he was making some crazy decisions when it comes to, the donors and how they felt about him. Because he was friends with Kanye, he was friends with Candace, he was friends with Tucker. That's Bachelor Charlie. Married Charlie. Now he has to, I can't hang out with Candace no more. All these other things. Joint Officer Tatum's live the other day. He was yelling at us. It said EK text to minor was MBD. What is that? Nobody? I'm not good with this. I'm not good with those. Somebody said DT the other night, and I literally was like, DT? Who is DT? Donald Trump. I didn't think about that afterwards. I'm not good at stuff like that. When I asked about friendship with CO, had the nerve to say we're still friends. We should probably talk. Yeah, that was something that has always been weird. I've made a couple of videos about that before of Candace and what's his dude name? Officer Tatum. Candace and Brandon Tatum, they've been saying they're friends, and Brandon Tatum brings that up all the time. I have her number. I texted her the other day, and I'm like, it's hard for me to believe because Brandon Tatum used to go in. Like, he would go in general, but it would be about Candace because Candace used to be one of the only people that used to like question stuff. And he used to go in and say general things, but it would literally be targeted at Candace. Then he went on that interview overseas with somebody and literally was questioned about Candace Owens. And he said, like, yeah, I disagree with what she's doing, blah, blah. But then every time, I think Candace was only asked about Brandon Tatum once. And I think she was just like, yeah, he's a great friend. And, I don't want to speak on that. And she like let it go. Never spoke about it again. I think she only spoke about it one time ever. And I was like, that's interesting because Brandon Tatum has said a lot of things about you. And she typically calls out everybody that comes for her. But with Brandon Tatum, she does not say a word. So, you have the perspective of like talking to Brandon Tatum and bashing him or responding to him does nothing to the investigation. But at the same time, she does that for other people that really don't do anything for the investigation. So I'm like, why don't you can we address the elephant in the room? I don't know. It's weird. I do give Charlie's parents some grace because they look pretty old, and I also imagine they want to be able to see their grandkids, and I would imagine Erica would keep them away. Yeah, they do. They are probably in that generation that they don't like to be in front of cameras and don't want to be involved and all that stuff. The sisters, totally different conversation. But parents, I agree. I think they don't want to be involved in the shenanigans with the media. But yeah, it's a tough one. Oh, no big deal. NBD. That's a new one. I might be getting old. Cause yeah, that went over my head. Felt like I was playing Wheel of Fortune and I was only given 3 letters, NBD, and told to solve it. I'd be stuck. Right after it happened, right after it happened, Tatum was mad and said he wasn't allowed to speak at Turning Point Faith, and CK let it, but he wouldn't take Tucker off stage. Yeah, I don't know. I saw Brandon Tatum speak at that Jewish Coalition convention, and boy, he went full rabbi over there. Man, I stand with you all. I'm trying to change America and how they view you all. And like he was just going in. And I was like, buddy, we have major issues over here in America, bro. I mean, the Jewish Coalition Convention was in America, but we have major issues in our country, bro. Why are you riding so hard for them? They don't need a mouthpiece. They don't need you to come up here and just look like I hate to say it, but it really is like tap dancing. I think that's the best thing I can describe his behavior, because he gets up there and he says what the Jewish people want to hear, which is condemning the Americans, that we're wrong and we should honor Israel and we should honor the Jews. And he's weird, man. I don't like listening to him no more. He's very weird. When you're talking about compromise, oh my gosh, he is beyond compromise. Brandon only spit on once, Tatum. Dude, that video was so funny. He said, yeah, they only spit on us one time. It should never have happened at all. What are you talking about? They only spit on us one time. They only spit on the Christians once. I was like, Baron. I said Baron. Brandon, dude, shut up, bro. You're not making your case here. Nobody should be spat on. Nobody. You over here bragging on that it was only once. Only once? What's the average? I should be happy that it's at one. What's the average day? What does an average day look like for a Christian? Is it over or under 4 spats? You did hear Candace say she wants him on her side. Man, I wish I could hear more about the two. I wish they would talk about it a little bit more. I wish Candace would, not Brandon. I don't want to hear him speak at all. Yeah, I think she is a loyal person for sure. For real, I was so confused. Oh my gosh. It was just funny because he answered the Candace question after saying anyone questioning EK is stupid and demonic. Yeah, I can't listen to him. I used to react to it, and I used to like make reaction videos to his stupid comments like that. But I literally was like, I can't listen no more. It's pissing me off because I know who you used to be. I don't know who this Brandon Tatum is. I would pay a lot of money to hear Coach leave a voicemail on Tatum's apology for it. For real, for real. And on that note, that is the last comment. And I do appreciate y'all. Here's the last comment. I do appreciate y'all for joining. I lied. He was saying, as a cop, I understand investigations and evidence, and you people are just into conspiracies. I mean, that's what's disappointing, though. He's a cop, and he can't realize like where people are coming from when it comes to the bullet. When it comes to the bullet, I don't understand where's the confusion on why people are like, I don't really understand how that would make sense. Brandon Tatum for a 30-6 to hit the softest part of the human body and it to frag and it to shatter off of a human neck. Come on, like, doesn't make any sense. Then not only that, if you're a cop, then you should realize these people lying on the internet about where they were and their alibis. Very interesting. Why does that not matter to you, Mr. Cop? But whatever. We already know he's compromised. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you all for watching. And I wanted to ask, does he believe innocent until proven guilty, but it's not worth it with him anymore? He's too far gone. He is too far gone. Yeah, Brandon Tatum's absolutely too far gone. But I appreciate y'all for watching. I appreciate y'all for supporting as usual. Again, before you get out of here, if you hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, please hit the sub button. We are on the road to 20K, and I appreciate all the support along the way. And I hope y'all have a great, blessed night. I don't know what time it is for y'all over there, but it is 1:20 for me. So we already into Friday. So I hope y'all have a great Friday. Y'all have a great night, and I will see y'all on the next one.